Hello, my name is Elliot, and welcome back to Advective Weather. Today we're going to be taking a look at two of the tropical cyclones that are currently active, namely Tropical Storm Talim in the Western Pacific and Hurricane Calvin in the Eastern Pacific. Alright, taking a look at Talim first, it's the fourth named storm in the Western Pacific this season and is currently threatening to make landfall on south-central Guangdong province to the west of Hong Kong and Macau early on Tuesday in local time. Uncertainty exists in the intensity that it will come ashore, although Talim is likely to be a moderately strong typhoon by the time it does come ashore. Potentially dangerous impacts could occur in the landfall area, including significant storm surge, typhoon force winds, and heavy rainfall with totals of 200 millimeters or greater in some spots. Those along the coast of Guangdong and northern Hainan Island should begin their preparation shortly. Alright, taking a look at Calvin, it was recently the first major hurricane of the season, although it has begun its weakening trend. The NHC forecast it to pass near or over the Hawaiian Islands early on Wednesday local time as a weakening tropical storm. Impacts from Calvin are likely to be relatively minor, although residents of Hawaii should be on watch for rip currents, gusty winds, and localized heavy rainfall around midweek next week. Alright, taking a look at Talim, as of 18 UTC July 15th, which is today, Tropical Storm Talim was located at 18.7 degrees north, 117 degrees east. Maximum 1-minute sustained winds and 10-minute sustained winds are both 45 knots or 50 miles an hour per the Joint Typhoon Warning Center and the Japan Meteorological Agency, respectively. The Japan Meteorological Agency also currently estimates a minimum central pressure of 985 millibars. For Calvin, as of 18 UTC today, which is July 15th, Calvin was located at 14.8 degrees north, 129.7 degrees west. Maximum 1-minute sustained winds are 85 knots or 100 miles an hour per the National Hurricane Center, making it a low-end Category 2 hurricane. The central pressure, according to the National Hurricane Center, is estimated at 975 millibars. Alright, taking a look at the conditions around Talim, its genesis was from the monsoon trough, and it still has very much a broad and sprawling circulation. And this structure is currently limiting the amount of intensification it can go through and is keeping that intensification slow. Despite this, it's still located in an area of low shear and very warm sea surface temperatures, in some spots increasing to over 31 degrees Celsius. And this could favor rapid intensification should the structure become more consolidated over the next day or so. Sea surface temperatures also should remain favorable all the way through landfall. Alright, taking a look at Calvin, it has crossed over the 26 degrees Celsius isotherm, which is at a low latitude in the Eastern Pacific, and this means the lack of available heat content is starting to induce a gradual weakening trend on the storm. Increasing amounts of shear over the next several days also will contribute to a weakening trend for Calvin as it enters the Central Pacific. As you can see, the cloud structure is starting to already look a little more ragged and anemic on visible imagery, so yeah, definitely starting to see that weakening trend here today. And it's likely to lose tropical cyclone status around the end of the forecast period, around or just after its passage near Hawaii. Alright, the official forecast for Talim by the Japan Meteorological Agency currently forecasts it to reach a peak as a low-end typhoon with 10-minute sustained winds of about 65 knots as it passes over the Leju Peninsula in 2 days. The Joint Typhoon Warning Center also forecasts landfall over the Leju Peninsula in about 2 days as a strong Category 1 or weak Category 2 peak, maybe slightly weakening by the time it does actually cross the peninsula, and it does show landfall like the JMA in about 2 days. For Calvin, the official forecast that was just released now shows it making a tropical landfall over the Big Island of Hawaii. While the exact path is still uncertain, it will be passing near the Hawaiian Islands in most likelihood. Even in the event of a direct landfall, however, Calvin's gale force winds would largely remain offshore due to the rough terrain of the island, not allowing sustained gale force winds to really be prevalent onshore. The mountainous terrain is also expected to sort of shred the circulation, and this should lead to the dissipation of the tropical cyclone by the end of the forecast. Taking a look at the models for Talim, although there's good confidence of westward motion, the global models do disagree a little bit on the exact path Talim will take. The GFS does take it a little bit further north than the Euro and does have a slightly stronger landfall over Guangdong, keeping it further north and inland through dissipation, and it gets it down to the 950s, I think, which is probably indicative of a high-end Category 2 with the size and location of the storm. The Euro, however, is a little more conservative on the intensity, only taking it down to the mid-970s or so, which is probably mid to high-end Category 1 considering the size. And it does bring it into the Gulf of Tonkin and actually slightly strengthens it. The Euro is known, however, to often underdo land interactions, so I don't really see strengthening being much of a likely scenario over the Gulf of Tonkin, thankfully. But it does have it moving further south than the GFS does. So for Calvin, both models are fairly consistent on the location of the storm. As you can see, both have it making landfall over the Big Island of Hawaii around midweek next week, although they do disagree at what intensity it will make landfall at. The GFS basically has it barely holding on to its tropical cyclone status by the time it reaches the Big Island, making landfall as probably a tropical depression and dissipating a few hours after landfall due to the high terrain basically shredding the circulation. The Euro does have a slower weakening trend than the GFS and does project that Calvin could still make landfall as a tropical storm over the Big Island. The National Hurricane Center is a little closer to this scenario, I think, and it does open into a wave just like the GFS several hours after landfall due to the high terrain basically shredding the circulation, as I said before. What can you do to prepare? Always know which agency you need to look at for the official forecasts. For Talim, the Japan Meteorological Agency is the regional agency for the Western Pacific, and the Joint Typhoon Warning Center also issues unofficial updates covering the Western Pacific as well. For Calvin, in the Eastern Pacific, the National Hurricane Center issues official updates, and the Central Pacific Hurricane Center will be the agency issuing updates when it does move past 140 degrees west in a couple days. If unsure for what to do for your area, always consult your local officials to know the specific risks in your location. Alright, thank you everybody for watching. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe, it really does help out the channel. And we also have a Discord, so you can join and chat with myself and the rest of our team, chat about the weather. We also have events in there, so it's always a good time, and we do recommend you join. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.